Welcome to Operation Manifest.
This is a weekly podcast
Geared towards helping you live your most fulfilled and abundant life. If you're seeking ways to evolve, learn, and align with your highest self, then you're in the right place. This is a safe place where tears mixed with laughter, transparency, and freedom are allowed. I'm excited to embark on this journey together. It's now time to manifest.
Peace and blessings, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for tuning in to Operation Manifest. This is podcast number 4, and I'm super excited about this podcast because I've decided to record it tonight underneath the full moon. So I wanted to get all of those magical and abundant energies intertwined into this podcast and just sending that out through the sound waves or the airwaves of all of your phone, computer, tablet, whatever you're listening to this podcast on. I'm sending all of these amazing, abundant, and beautiful, prosperous vibes to you all this evening. So again, just super excited to be recording underneath the full moon energy. I'm actually sitting right by my window. I have my window open and I'm sitting right by my window with the full moon just coming right in through the window. So this energy is feeling amazing, and I can only pray that that energy is translated through this recording for podcast number 4. Like, even saying that, I'm like, wow, seems like I just started recording these podcasts. Literally, it feels like it was just yesterday, but here we are on podcast number 4, which means that it's been at least 4 weeks since my first podcast, which is like amazing and also eye-opening at the same time. A true reminder that time waits for no one. And with that being said, podcast number 4 is entitled "If Your Dreams Don't Scare You." So I think that is in sync with everything that I just said. If your dreams don't scare you. What prompted that is actually a few nights ago. I woke up from a deep sleep, and it was, super late, maybe like 3 a.m. I don't remember the exact time, but I know it was like after 3 a.m. And I woke up and I just had like all of these feelings and emotions of like fear. It literally just like consumed my mind and my body and my spirit. And initially, like when I was awakened from my sleep, I was in like a panic mode, and it was just all this anxiety. And though those feelings were very familiar because I have felt them before, this time it was different. It was, I guess, because it had been so long since I even woke up, or even had like the feelings of panic or fear or anxiety. I've gotten really good at keeping that at bay, or getting it under control, but this time it was just so overwhelming, and it put me in a state of panic, in a state of shock. And I've learned that whenever emotions appear, to greet them, get to know them. I always say, serve them tea, have a conversation, sit down with the fear or the emotions, learn the lesson, receive the message that you're supposed to receive from the message, and then politely send those emotions on their way. I used to become like really fearful of the fear, and this would a lot of times double my fear and anxiety, until I realized that fear is only an emotion that tends to arise as a result of something else. So this time I kind of figured that the fear wasn't mine because of the way that the feeling felt. And it's kind of hard for me to explain it unless you are more on the intuitive side and you can relate to what it is that I'm saying. But I've gotten to a space with myself where I know when a certain emotion is mine and when I know that it's the energy of someone or something else that I've picked up along the way. And I realized that this fear was not mine, but it was more than likely the emotions of someone that was extremely close to me. And just recently before that, just prior to that experience, myself and another queen sister of mine that we decided to partner together on a venture, and take like a huge leap of faith on something that has the potential to be scary, but also very exciting. I immediately knew that this emotion was more than likely probably hers. So once I took the time to clear my energy and my space of that emotion and just process through it to make certain that, I was correct in my thinking that it wasn't mine and it was hers, I began to just process just the whole situation. As I'm going through the lesson, I began to just process through it. And I was reminded that our minds have a very funny way of trying to protect us based on how we've trained our mind. To convince yourself to jump into anything may appear to be insane to our brain because our mind is trained to play it safe. So now that you're stepping out of your comfort zone and you're no longer holding yourself back and you're moving more into the newness of your purpose, your mind becomes extremely paranoid and afraid. So you must not allow this to stop you. You must continue in the right direction, even if it scares you crapless. You have to continue in the direction towards your dreams. You can't allow yourself to kind of double back and go back to where it's safe and where it's comfortable, because you will never get to where it is that you want to be. Everything that you desire, it truly sits patiently on the other side of the fear or the emotion that's holding you back, and waiting to see if you'll come to get it or if you're going to continue to choose to leave it abandoned, waiting for you. They say that if your dreams don't scare you, then they clearly aren't big enough. And to a very, I don't know if I completely agree with that, but I do agree to an extent. When I wake up each day and I'm doing the bare minimum, it's like I'm okay, but then I tend to get bored as well. And then when I start to dream big and I start to chase those dreams, it's like it turns into World War III within my nervous system, because I'm pushing myself to greater heights. I'm pushing myself to the unknown, and the unknown can be a scary thing. But I've learned that the plot twist tends to happen here. I'm not just defining my tomorrow by a fearful today. I'm not stopping myself because I don't know what lies next. I know and I trust that the guidance from my ancestors will never lead me wrong. I know that when my intentions are aligned with honesty and truth, that I can never go wrong. So then I ask myself, like, what are you fearful of? What is there to fear? It's totally different for everyone. And it's even been different for me in different instances in my life. But primarily it's the uncertainty of the unknown that I think is the most fearful part. And the possibility of failure, and for some people it's the worries of what others may think of that failure, or even what others may think of your dreams. Like a lot of people tend to have an opinion on how everyone else should live their life. So some people are affected by that. Some people are afraid to jump, or they're afraid to do certain things because they're worried about how they'll be perceived by their loved ones, or just by anyone, period, that may judge them based on their beliefs. And I think the thing is is that the unknown makes way to birth something very beautiful and magical that a lot of times we could have never fathomed. A lot of times what's on the other side of that fear is greater than anything that we could have ever dreamed of. And those to me are some of the most successful and achievable moments. When you're willing to fail more times than, you're willing to even try, that's where I think the success comes from. And I had to learn that within myself. It was like I was notorious for not trying something new because I didn't want to fail. Like, I hated failure because somehow, to me, failing at a thing equated to me being a failure. And I've had to retrain myself to know that, number one, it's not that I'm failing at something, because, failure is one of those words that's kind of hard to define because the meaning of it changes based on who you're talking to. So it's not that I'm failing at, said thing. It's more that, okay, it didn't work out as successfully as I hoped that it would, but I was able to take something from the situation that I can take into my next situation and not make those same mistakes and go further than I did the last time. So we have to get into a space where we don't worry about what other people think. We don't worry about the failure or messing up. And, a lot of the millionaires and the billionaires, or even outside of just financially, but a lot of the most successful people will say or have said that their success has come because they were not afraid to get out and try and to mess up or to quote unquote fail. And in that failure, they learned how to get it right, or how to find that sweet spot, so to say, so that everything could flow smoothly. So you have to get to a space where you decide that fear has no residency within your space, not your mental space, not your physical, emotional, in your space, period. You have to sit with it, sit with the fear. You have to learn from the fear, and then you have to be committed to setting that fear free. Make a commitment to yourself to decide whether or not it's fear that's most important, or you finding that path, that niche that will give you that ultimate feeling of success and achievement. That is what's most important. Like, it has to be one or the other. Like, we can't play with both. Like, it can't be I'm afraid and I'm successful. I mean, maybe it works. I won't say that it doesn't, but I'll just say that I don't think that the two can go hand in hand. We have to choose which side we are going to be on ultimately. So for you, I want you to know, my friend, that you are a magical, manifested prayer existing in a physical existence. And because of that, you can do all things. So it's time to once and for all tell fear it has to go. Take time, sit with it, figure out where the fear is stemming from. Figure out why you're fearful. Figure out what it is that you're fearful of. Take time and dissect the fear to figure it out so that it does not keep reappearing. Once you set it free, it's set free for good. Because when you find the magic in the why, it typically applies to everything. So it's not like, okay, I'm fearful because of this situation, and then you work through that and a new situation comes and it's like, okay, why am I fearful? A lot of times it's the same underlying issue. So if you can sit with the fear and figure out why it exists, then oftentimes once you figure that out, like truly figure it out, if it reappears, you're able to get rid of it more quickly. So take the time to sit with the fear and learn why, but then be committed to release it, because fear is not here to serve you. It is only here to hold you captive and hold you back from your true greatness. So decide today or tonight, whenever it is that you're listening to this, decide that fear can no longer reside in your space, and do everything that's necessary to free yourself from it. It's time to let the fear go. It has to go. It's time to be fearless. It's time to be free. It's time to be your full and powerful self. It's simply time to just be. And in just being, if you're like I was, you're wanting a definition. Like, how do you just be? I've learned that to just be, you simply just have to be. There is no way that I can define that. But you will know when you're just being, because it will feel so effortless and everything in you will vibrate in alignment and it will just feel right. So I extend to you peace, love, and light. Blessings upon blessings upon blessings, abundantly and forever. Thank you again for tuning in. If you guys want to connect with me outside of this podcast, definitely feel free to check out my website, www.mana, M-A-N-A, holistics, holistics.com. I'm here to provide psychic readings, tarot readings, energy healing work, empowerment coaching. I'm going to be honest, I'm just here. I'm just here. A lot of people that have sessions with me will tell you that it can start out as a psychic reading and jump over into a life coaching session and end with them needing a Reiki healing session. Like, wherever spirit tells me I'm needed, I'm there. But if you feel that you are in a space where you could, truly benefit from some optimistic and positive guidance and reinforcement and, all of that great stuff to get yourself back in alignment, definitely check us out. I am here. I would be honored and grateful to be of service to you. So until next time, peace and blessings.